Welcome to Redvee TV, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2020 season, as we look ahead to Saints' round 16 clash against Castleford Tigers in round 9. It's like being in a time warp, this, Kev.
It is, isn't it? It is.
It's like pick your fixture out the hat each week, depending on who's COVID-free.
Yeah. Needs must, though. Needs must.
Yeah, how are you, Kev? All right?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah. Change of opponents for us this week. Obviously based on Hull FC coming back with 6 positive COVID tests last week. Obviously, we wish them all the best, and hopefully they're not affected too much, and they're all fit and ready to go soon. But is this the new normal? I seen obviously there was some people complaining, but essentially, do you know what? Rugby league, we can do testing and we can capture these things, which is, testing's worked, hasn't it? But the players can't live in a bubble either. They've got families that they have to go home to. It only needs one player to come into contact with somebody who's potentially asymptomatic, pick up the virus themselves, and then in closed quarters, there is that potential for it to spread amongst squads. So this may not be an isolated instance and could happen with other squads in the future. Touch wood, hopefully not, but we have to be prepared for it.
Yeah, we do. I think quite a few people have said going into NRL-style bubbles would be great, but there's not the money in European Super League to kind of go down that route, I don't think. We've just got to do what we can, and players, I'm not suggesting any Hull players I've done anything wrong here because I don't know the facts behind it, but players have just got to be as careful as they can to keep the continuation of the season going as long as we can. That's it. I think Rugby Union are starting up again, and they're starting to say that if games can't go ahead, they're just going to award 20-0 wins to a team who haven't been affected by COVID. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about how you kind of go about proving that it's somebody's fault if you catch a disease. So us being able to be flexible, to be fluid, nobody's really missing out because we can only watch the games on Sky. I mean, it's a bit of a killer with the Totally Wicked hosting the games and us not being able to be there. But nobody's really missing out, apart from your Hull fans and your Salford fans this week. And it makes sense. It makes sense to keep the fixtures as fluid as possible and try and keep teams playing. Yeah,
I have to say, I'm really impressed with Super League's novel thinking on this. It's not often they're very quick off the mark, but do you know what? It was something that we hadn't even really thought of at all until the news came through that there have been fixture changes this week, and it makes perfect sense. So we will be playing Castleford this week. Is that good for us? Because obviously we're in really good form at the moment. Castleford was slightly off last week, but are potentially a stronger opponent than Wakefield. So whilst we're in good form, is it ideal to be playing one of our better opponents, especially on home turf?
I'm sure Wakefield would have something to say about that after running Wigan really close last weekend. But
that says more about Wigan, Kev.
Yeah, well, in essence, you're right. Playing someone who has been up round the top 4 or 5 for the past couple of seasons while we're in, or seemingly in red hot form, and they're not as such. They've not come back in the same way that we have, only conceded 1 try and putting a shed load of points on opponents. It possibly is a good time for us to be playing them, especially as you say, with it being at the Totally Wicked. I don't think it'll have made too much difference to the coaching staff. I think Christian Wolf was on record in the week saying that they hadn't even started showing the video. They plays the videos of Castleford and going through the nuances of that. And to be honest, I think if we just concentrate on our own game, then that'll take care of itself.
The one man we need to start with this week before we get on to squad news is the man, the machine, the living legend, James Roby.
Yeah. Absolutely, brilliantly competitive, consistent player. If he was in the NRL, he'd be being spoken about as an immortal, and there's no reason why he shouldn't be over here. He's just been tremendous for us, hasn't he?
And the way we've started managing him now, I know the first couple of weeks he's only have to play 50-odd minutes. I'm hoping we're going to get a good couple of years out of him yet. This is his 469th appearance, I think, or 457 it's going to be. Kel Coslett's up there at the top of the list at 531. Still a couple of years before he's threatening that, but you wouldn't rule against it, would you?
You wouldn't necessarily rule against it, that's it. I mean, what did you say it was? 457 for Saints, and the rest are made up with representative games. Yeah, you wouldn't. If he can keep himself injury-free, which I know gets harder and harder as you get older and older. I'm not speaking from experience. I've just been perennially injured and fat. But yeah, there's no reason why, if we manage him and we can get Aaron Smith, Josh Eves, whoever it is coming through, and even taking a lot of game time off him, so he's more the impact or someone you turn to in the next couple of years. There's no reason why you can't add to that figure significantly.
Potentially as well, he's probably been the one man who will have benefited most from the lockdown. Because obviously over the years he was having closed season surgeries, he wasn't getting a massive break, he was recovering from injuries. This is probably the first time he's had such a long layoff whilst being fit, which means he's just had a chance to rest his body and get it prepared for the rigours of Super League.
Yeah, agreed with that. That's it. You don't think about, even if it's a major injury, there might be little tiny bits, like a little calf strain or a little thigh strain that players just play through and play through and play through. So him being able to rest himself, as you say, especially with him heading towards, and it makes me feel really old that he's in his 30s. It makes me feel really old. But
it makes me feel young. If he can still do it, there's still time to get a late call up.
No, there isn't. But that's it. He's, as I say, it's been perfect for him. He has, as you said, probably a lot of older players across the league have been happy, if they've been fit as well, have been happy to have kind of the rest, because it may well just push them on another season. Because you always read about players saying it's difficult to kind of just stop and not have the kind of camaraderie in the changing rooms and going to training and playing games, and you can never replicate that. So some players may get another season or two out of it. Hopefully James is still at that standard in another year or two that he still wants to go round again. Yeah.
Okay, that's Mr. Roby covered. Squads for this week. Pretty much standard squad that for Saints now. I know Christian Wolf was talking this week about potential rotation at some point, and it's basically said it's a necessity. It's going to happen. I was thinking maybe potentially this week we may have looked at rotating a couple of bodies for Wakefield at home, but with it being Cass and the spanking that they give us pre-lockdown and potentially being a stronger opponent, I'd still pretty much go full strength this week, knowing that we've got a week off next week.
I think the week off next week is key to that. I would stick with the same 17, to be honest, if everybody's fit. But Percival coming back in, obviously for Costello not named in that 21-man squad again. I know Dom Peru's dropped out of that squad. Jack Ashworth's come in. I don't know if that's to potentially give Jack Ashworth some game time if one of the forwards away. Morgan Knowles carrying a head
with a knock, yeah. So for me, Ashworth, Wellesby, Batchelor and Dodd probably the ones to miss out. That's the obvious choices, isn't it?
They are the obvious ones. It was interesting looking at our Facebook comments. I looked at them more than the Twitter this week, just because we had Stephen Moss and Phil Grundy both wanting Lewis Dodd to start this game. Stephen Moss said got to start with Doddy soon somehow, or that's another good kid going to Oz. And Phil Grundy said it won't happen, but I'd like to see Lewis Dodd at 7. I don't see how you can change a team that's absolutely steamrolled at Catalan and then Leeds ahead of having a week off. Lewis Dodd will get game time this year. I've absolutely no doubts about that, because you see the likes of Johnny Lomax and Theo Farge will need a rest. We keep talking about when the games start coming thick and fast towards the end of the year. Lewis Dodd will get his chance in them games. I don't see why we're worrying about a kid going to Oz when we've only had 2 games of lockdown, 2 games since lockdown, sorry, to kind of assess where we're at. He'll get his chance. I just don't think it'll be this week.
No, and for me, it's Johnny Lomax, Theo Farge, shirts to lose in the halves. Yeah. And for me, although they've gone pretty much, well, you never would have thought it. Johnny Lomax and Theo Farge are unsung heroes since lockdown in this team, because everything's just ticking along. And have you heard Johnny Lomax's name called in a game really since we've come back? I think that he did 1 pass in the first game back, but he's getting to like James Roby levels of consistency now, so that you don't notice him on a week by week basis, because you're getting a constant 8 out of 10 minimum out of him. Yeah.
Well, that's it. And as you say, with it being shirts to lose, another interesting one that we had on Facebook was Robbie Murray saying he'd take Amore out and put Ashworth in, give Ashworth the game time, because Amore is past it. These are Robbie's words, not mine. Because Amore is past it and Ashworth makes more of an impact. And again, you're saying that the shirts to lose. It's Kyle Amore's shirt to lose. Yeah. Since lockdown, he's come in, and off the bench, I think he's been really good.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Kyle Amore's been really good, and I don't see that impact from Jack Ashworth either. At this moment in time, I'll be shocked if he's still a member of this squad next season. I suspect he'll be on to pastures new. So for me, he's a backup now. I feel he's maybe had the opportunities, and he's maybe failed to grasp them as much as he possibly could, and we will probably move on from him.
Yeah, and that's it. You're talking about grasping opportunities. James Bentley has done exactly that. It's hard to see him dropping out now, in my opinion, and I think it's testament to the lad that he is getting spoken about highly, because he's played in different positions, hasn't he? He's been at hooker, he's been at centre, he's been in his second row, and him having like this little run, and it's because of injury and illness with Dom Peru, but he's got hold of this shirt now, and it's a case of, well, you've got to try and take it off me. I think Bentley's been fantastic for us.
Okay, Cas squad. Couple of notable names in there. Obviously, Danny Richardson's in there. Gareth O'Brien, former Saints loanee, has signed from Toronto on loan until the end of the year, so no doubt he'll maybe come into that side. Liam Watts is back in after the Castleford Chainsaw Massacre. And Nathan Massey is also back in after his wife gave birth. I think there's only one of those. Sasaya Feki signed in the close season from the NRL. Winger, he's been out since the start of the year with a torn calf muscle. He's named in the squad for the first time. There's a couple of stories that could write themselves there, isn't there?
There are. That's it. Gareth O'Brien, I think they've been struggling at fullback since they've come back. Obviously, was it Rankin, the fullback that they had previously stayed in Oz, gone back home. So he'll give him a bit of stability there. Obviously, he'll probably come in and have an absolute wow of a game winning fullback against us. It's kind of how things go, isn't it? I'm both pleased and gutted to see Liam Watts back, because I think he's one of the best props in the league. I think it'll be a great thing to see him go up against James Graham and Alex Walmsley. That's it. They're a very, very good team. That half-back combination of Truman and Richardson is one of the most exciting in the league. It's got all the potential there. And you just hope that if them two are going to stay together, that like one of them's heads are turned by what you'd perceive as one of the bigger clubs on this side of the Pennines or over at Leeds or somewhere like that, and they can stick together for a couple of years and kind of, I don't know, well, just help Cast tick over and stay up in the top four, and because we want a strong Super League. So, and as I say, them two are just, they've got all the potential to be, and well, they could be England 6 and 7 for years and years to come.
I know Christian Wolf has said this week that the game before lockdown won't have any bearing. It's so long ago and we're a different side. But I want to stick it on Cast this week. I think we owe them one massively. We were so poor against them, and to take nothing away from Cast, they were really good in that last game before lockdown against us. I thought they were excellent. They controlled the game massively. For me, it's a little bit of a revenge game. I think we need to put things right and put in a performance against them. So I'm really looking forward to this game tomorrow. I think it's going to be a really tough game. I don't think Castleford's result last week against Catalan will have any bearing, really. Again, I think I said last week I was taking Catalan against Cast, but that was because of the week.
Week extra that they played.
That Catalan had, and Castleford obviously it was first game back, so they'll have blown them cobwebs away now. So I think this week could be a really good game.
Yeah, I think you're right. The game before lockdown, Cass were fantastic against us, and as poor as we were, I think it's almost what I said last week against Leeds. You can only play what's in front of you, and they just managed the game perfectly. And you could just see time and time again that they just looked like they were they meant business coming forward. Every time that they were in our like 20 or 30 metre zone, you were worried that they were going to score. As you think, listen, I'm quite happy with the 2 points. I know it's kind of a damp squib after absolutely banjoing teams by 30 and 40 points, but it's just about keeping the momentum going.
Yeah, you're right there.
I'd take a I don't know, a 14-0 win this week if it meant that we got the 2 points. And
I think John Wilkin talked about this on the Sky commentary last week. He was saying it's not always about performance. He was talking about in relation to Hull KR, the way they were throwing the ball about and being entertaining, and he was going, but it's not about that. At the end of the day, it's about getting the results, and we've always said that for years and years and years. As much as we want to be entertaining, results come first. You get your 2 points, and then if you can perform on top of that, that's a bonus. But the main thing is winning, because if you lose a game but lose in style, you've still lost the game, and nobody remembers how well you played. You've lost. 2 points for me every time.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, before lockdown, we weren't playing brilliantly, and we were losing games, and you could see why fans were kind of losing their heads over it. As we've said time and time again, I don't get why people were calling for Wolf out after 4 or 5 games. It just does not make sense whatsoever. And I think you had a couple of chats with people on Twitter at the end of the Leeds game, and people were saying, well, we can have our opinions. Yeah, you can have your opinion, and you can shout Wolf out if you want, but I just didn't get that kind of mindset after 5 games. You've got to give someone time. Yeah, be unhappy with the style of rugby. Yeah, want it to change. But I will never understand someone calling for a coach's head after 4, 5, 6 games. It just does not make sense.
No, it doesn't. Okay, change of fixtures this weekend then. I'm looking at both of them games and expecting crackers. You can't really pick a winner either way. Obviously, Wakefield, Catalan. That should be a cracker. That's a toss of a coin. Huddersfield, Warrington. I'll be honest, I've not seen a lot of Huddersfield. But I also know Warrington aren't as good as they think they are.
Well, Huddersfield are missing Lee Gaskell for a couple of weeks as well, aren't they? So that could be big for them. It depends who slots into the 6th jersey by the side of Caesar. But Huddersfield could take the game to Warrington, and if I was them, I'd be looking at doing exactly that. I wouldn't be sitting back and seeing what Warrington have got to throw at me. I'd be trying to start really, really quick and put Warrington under the cosh and see how they cope with it. Okay,
I'm going to go Catalan by 6, Warrington by 4.
All right, I'll go Wakefield by 6. Who did you say in the second one? Warrington?
I said by 4, but I'm going to probably increase that. Go by about 10.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't see anything other than a Warrington win by about 12. But I'd like to see, as I say, I'd like to see Huddersfield just absolutely throw it at them early doors and give them something to think about.
Obviously, the other fixture tomorrow, again, Wigan Leeds. I don't think you could judge Leeds on last week. I think we were just absolutely outstanding. So that should be another good one as well.
It should, and they'll be looking to put a couple of wrongs right, won't they, this week? And to be honest, having another tough opponent may well be good for them. I know Wigan are missing Tommy Lulawai. He's not missed many games for him over the years. But yeah, listen, Leeds should be looking to put a performance in. My only thing is, I've got a couple of Leeds supportive friends on social media, and they said they were terrible against Huddersfield. I didn't see that game and got out of jail. So, unfortunately, I'd probably go Wigan by a couple of scores.
I didn't see the Wigan-Wakefield game last week, but I know obviously Wakefield came back late on. Another 5 minutes, they may have won it. I'm going to go Leeds by the golden point.
Fair enough.
I need to quid on that now, don't I?
Yeah, you need to. Yeah.
Obviously, no fans there this week at the Totally Wicked, except the cardboard cutouts.
Yep.
We're there, Kev. Hang on. There's a league table, but we don't need to look at the league. We don't need to look at the league table, do we? Because we'll be top after the weekend.
Not yet.
But we're there.
Yes.
You know what?
Brilliant.
You know what? I thought that was really, really good of Saints to go around with the camera. I think it's Jamie Allen, the media manager, has gone round with the camera and made sure that every Saints fan who has paid and selected Saints as the club to be the beneficiary of the money, just in case that it doesn't get onto the Sky TV, he's gone round with the camera and made sure that everyone has been shown that they're there in the seats. And I think that was a really nice touch from the club. I think there may have been a couple of people who were querying whether they were there or not, so sent their pictures over as well. And the club have actually gone and found the cutouts and said, look, yeah, they're there in the seats. So I thought that was really good of them. And they're there, Kevin, we're there on the back row as well, where we would have stood anyway. Well, sat if we were seating, and they've put us together.
I can't get away from you, even when we're not there in person. Even my cardboard cutout's got to be on that side of you.
I really like the comment on social media that it said, it looks like your dad's took you to the match. Look,
Vern Adamson, yeah, I'm already looking into how to delete him off all of our social medias, the cheeky so-and-so. No, but you're right, it looks great. I think it's one of them things that we said during lockdown, that clubs need to kind of push any revenue stream they can. And you're not going to knock them. Listen, Saints could bring out 8 new home shirts just to boost revenue now, but I wouldn't knock them. I usually would, because I don't think you should have more than 2 shirts for a season, apart from your magic weekend as a one-off for charity. But I think it's great that they've gone round, and as you say, kudos to Jamie for walking round and making sure that everyone can see themselves there, because you do start thinking, am I actually in that, or are they just going to print out a cardboard cutout and throw it to me at the end of all these games?
Now, obviously, the other good touch the club have done is said that everybody who's purchased the cutout, they'll get one of the players to sign it for you at the end before returning it to you. Who would you get to sign yours?
I would probably go with Johnny Lomax. Just because I think...
I know why that is, Kev.
Why?
That's because he's got you blocked on social media. Or you can at least pretend he's your friend.
Yeah, I can pretend he's my friend then. I've spoken to him and everything, and he said, that's it, I don't understand anyway. No, I'd have Johnny. I think he's come through a lot of adversity in his career, and he's now showing exactly how good of a player he is. So I'll go with Johnny Lomax.
I'm going to go with the man we talked about at the start, James Roby. He's probably the closest embodiment now we've got to a living legend of the club, or alongside probably Kieran Cunningham. I imagine there may well be a statue of James Roby up in the future.
It wouldn't be stood still though, would it?
So obviously, if I'm going to be able to auction my cardboard cut-off in the future for big money, then obviously having James Roby on my face is going to be worth even more.
Yeah, I thought so. You see, I've known James since he was a young lad, so to me, he's just James who lived over the road.
I think we're done, Kev.
Fantastic.
Hopefully, everybody will enjoy the weekend's games, and we will be back for an instant fan reaction tomorrow.
Yeah.
Enjoy your weekend. Nice sunny days. Hopefully, it'll stay that way and stay nice and dry, and a nice dry track for us.
Yep.
Okay, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we will catch you for the instant fan reaction tomorrow. Take care, everyone.